Howdy, howdy. Oh, there's like a little reflection on my face. Hi. Uh, I'm Lacey. I love astrology. I'm looking at it all the time. I love it because it helps me to understand a person more deeply and to sort of remove, sort of the more binary ways of thinking, like good versus bad, right versus wrong, right? Nothing's really ever that black and white. I have found as a human, sometimes they are rather black and white, and sometimes when people get labeled something, then they will act according to that label. And so astrology helps me be able to see underneath the surface from a cosmic level, if you will. And I have seen astrology in action over and over again, and over and over again. I've looked at charts, so astrology is pretty damn reliable. It is on a spectrum, though, of like intensity. And it is on a spectrum. A person still has free will. Yes, you may have a certain planet placement that gives you the general vibe, the general idea, but you'll still have what you're going to do. You can still either sort of choose the lighter side or the darker side of things, which is again a binary, but you know that when light comes in, it's dim, right? And it goes from like dim to like, black. It looks black and it's just a pin drop, right? And then you'll see various stages of gray, right? So nothing's really, really, really black and white. And I think astrology helps to drive that point home. Now, today, who I wanted to look at and talk about because he was recently put in as the new Irani supreme leader, I want to talk about Mojtaba Khamenei. Yeah, Khamenei. I think that's how you say it. Mojtaba Khamenei. Because I think it's interesting, right? Here's a person I do not know. Here is a leader of a new country that we are at war with. Yes, we are at war with them. Um, and so for me, I like the understand if you want like understand your enemy, right? Your enemy, understand them, if you want to win with them. And that doesn't mean just win by killing them. It means win by knowing them, know how to work with them, how to negotiate so that you can get a win for both sides. That's what my ideal astrology is anyway. All right, let's look at his chart. What do you say? Well, let's look at him first. I'm going to show you him, the guy I'm talking about, Mujtaba. Here he is. Hi, Mujtaba. Lovely to see you, dude. This is him. Mujtaba. And um yeah, this is his face. He kind of reminded me of a face. When I first saw his face, I like to try and guess like what his big three might be, right? And that looks like a more Taurus face to me. There's a lot of Tauruses I know, and it also looks like it's got Virgo too. Those are my first thoughts because I have a friend who looks kind of like this, and he has Taurus and Virgo in his chart. So I thought, I bet this guy probably has those two things in his chart. So those are like my first thoughts. And then I'm going to look at this article here. It's the only one that I've read on him. I know that he is the son of the previous Supreme Leader who got blowed up. Sorry, dude. And his yeah. And then it gave me his birthday. Where did it say his birthday? Anyway, in this, it says his birthday. And so with that, I can pull up a chart, right? I can't pull up, I don't know the exact time, right? So I don't really know the house setup. But I know where he was born and I know his birthday. So that'll give me some general vibes about what this person is like. And then I have taken some courses in chart rectification, so I know a little bit about how to find one's houses. Now, I did not look too deeply at how to find his houses, so I will use those lightly when I go to look at his chart. So this is him. I know from this article, from having read this article, I know that he has been accused of sort of hoarding finances, right? He's had some financial questions about how he gets his money or how he uses his money, right? I know that his father was a leader in a religious sort of vibe, right? A cleric and a political leader. So that tells me that his son might be in the ninth house because children of leaders off of like pastors, things that govern us, right? So like pastors, world leaders, right? They tend to be in that ninth house when they're like of a religious vibe, especially. So that's kind of how my chart rectification was informed. Okay. You guys ready to see this guy's chart? Are you ready? Let's look at him. All right. So this is my chart. I rated it an X because I'm like, I don't know, right? And so we have the birth date here. Ooh, something on my nose. My cute nose. This is his birth date here, right? Birth date, where he was born, and I have it at 2 p.m. because I want to put that sun in that ninth house as he is a son of a religious leader. All right. So what is this person like just based off of what I see here, right? The first thing that I notice is that he's got a lot going on in Libra and he's got a Saturn in Taurus, right? Now, this tells me that the planet Venus is going to be very prominent in this guy's church because she is the ruler of Libra and Saturn. Now, where is his Venus? His Venus is in the sign of Leo. Venus in the sign of Leo is often very generous with friends, right? Very generous. He might have been very generous with his mother too. We have a moon here. A moon represents inner world and mother. It means that this guy is definitely into luxury, right? Because the moon, my inner world is happy when I am in luxury. Leo is also the sign of leadership, of kings, queens, emperors, right? So this person's mom might have been a leader in some way in her own right as well. I don't know that for sure, but that's a guess that I would have. Um, yeah. So he is ruled by luxury. He is ruled by leadership. He is ruled by generosity. Also, in the sign of Leo, this means that he looks for approval or appreciation from his subjects, if you will. So if everyone around him is saying good job to the leadership, um, orders that he makes, then he is more likely to make them according to what he feels his approval ratings will be based on, right? It's interesting because Trump has a rising and a Mars in Leo, so they have a Venus-Mars conjunction, which could be interesting for negotiations, right? And um, it gives a fighting or it gives tremendous actually if it were when I see a Venus and a Mars together in a chart, in a century chart, one person has a Mars conjunct the other person's Venus, I can tell you that they will have good sex. Now, is that probably extremely offensive to both parties? Yes, and I hope so. Anyway, so this person is very ruled by luxury and money, right? Because Venus represents attraction. It represents abundance in money. It represents a luxury one will have or not have or allow themselves to have. And so this person definitely cares about luxury. And it rules the Saturn here. So a Saturn in Taurus is very fixed. It's a fixed Earth sign. This sign does not want to have to move unless it has to. It has an eye on long-term investment. It's very patient. Taurus is very patient. Taurus and Scorpio, right, are known for being very patient. And so this person is also going to be traditional, right? Taurus is a sign that likes traditions, right? Um, Interestingly enough, if the tradition is a religious one, then like say if this person were born in the United States, right, which you have a very Christian heavy lens here in the States, then this person would be heavily Christian, right? This person would be strongly devout in that way, but he's not. He's born in a predominantly Islamic country, which means that this person's traditions will be predominantly Islamic. I think this always blows my mind. If you were born in another country and you have these, you'd be heavily devout to whatever major religion you're around is. Isn't that that's blows my mind every time. And they will both think they're right. They will both die on that hill of rightness. And it's like, oh man, that's insane to me. And anyway, so we have a Saturn, right? This is a person who's not quick, right? To make decisions. Leo's a fixed sign as well here. This person also has a square between a retrograde Saturn. That means that this person has an eye on history. This person cares about history. He probably studies the history of his country, the history of other countries, and he probably uses that in his diplomacy. He will talk about history in some way. It squares this Venus, right? So he feels motivated by making decisions that will bring him approval ratings and that will bring him wealth, right? Money in some way, right? Saturn is structure. He probably feels fear around being out in the woods because Saturn also represents fears and Taurus represents the out of doors. I don't know. Anyway, that's like a thought that I had. Um, But so we have Saturn square moon. This means that he feels motivated by responsibility, by duty, and what how that is going to impact his finances, right? How it's going to impact his inner world. So he will feel strongly motivated by authority, right? He'll be like, I've got to be able to use structure to my advantage, the financial structures to my uh, advantage, right? Anyway, all right. He's got something over here too, which is so he's got a lot of Libra. Libra is associated with I want to bring balance to a situation. I want to not argue if I don't have to. I don't want to have to argue. I would rather charm. I would rather get everyone to be on the same page before making a decision. Okay. Jupiter in the sign of Libra, this person is definitely influenced by beauty, harmony, by music too, probably, right? A lot of Jupiter and Libras I know kind of tend to like DJs, like music, like dancing, which is interesting. And then we have Uranus here. Uranus is kind of great in the sign of Libra because that means that this person is has some sort of innovative thinking, innovative forward thinking. He combines his beliefs with forward momentum, his beliefs with what's the future of the beliefs, right? What's the future of relations, right? And he'll probably have epiphanies. He probably has epiphanies when he is talking. So I bet when he is talking about his beliefs is when he has epiphanies, right? It's like as it's coming out of his mouth, he will have breakthroughs, right? So get this guy to talk. The other reason why I say get this guy to talk is he has a sun in Virgo. That is a person that the more they speak, the more clarity they have on a topic, right? This person also has the South Node here, which means this person is redoing something in this life. He's redoing power in this life. Pluto's conjunctive, right? Pluto gives power, the underworld crisis. This person is going to be very aware of a crisis that has to do with health, Virgo, that has to do with his father, son, Pluto. That is a strong, empowered father, right? He might have had this father before and is now having to redo this life. Anyway, this person, when you have Pluto and the sun together, in a chart, that person probably throws what other people consider like fits. Like this is the kind of person who might throw something across the room when he's alone, right? This is the person who might like throw fits, right? Feel like intensely, right? Come across as intensely but charming, right? He's so this is like super intense. This is a super intense. So Virgo is also associated with like humble, right? Somebody who is humble. Someone who, because Virgo is the sign of service, being a servant. This person probably views himself as a servant to his religion, right? He probably holds that dearly, a servant to his religion or his faith, because Virgo and Pisces deal with that. Pisces deals with what does it all mean, and therefore they have a tighter connection to God, if you will, right? And Virgo does as well. And Virgo goes, how do we write into law? How do we make our faith tangible, right? And so this person may write a lot. This person probably journals a lot. But Virgo is a writer. Virgo may even write books, right? Virgo wants to make tangible what information is. What I heard, I make tangible. What I'm thinking, I make tangible, right? And so he probably speaks powerfully. He might speak powerfully. Venus and the moon make one loud because Leo's loud. You know you're loud, Leo. Whatever. Leo, every Leo Mercury, every Leo Sun that I know, they get loud. Quiet is a challenge. So this person is probably loud, has a louder voice, right? But is charming. You probably can't help but feel charmed by this person in some way, right? Because, yeah, this leadership action here. So, Virgo, if you can get him to say things out loud, then he probably has epiphanies. He is going to have an eye on diplomacy. He doesn't really, really, really want, to die or want everyone, to die. But he is independent. Uranus also gives, I don't care about what you think about my beliefs. I'm doing it, right? I don't care what you think, right? Unless you're in his inner circle and he's your leader, then he cares about what his like subjects think, if you will, right? We have a Neptune in Scorpio. This is definitely a person who has a fixed faith. So the Scorpio, this is people who are born around the 60s, right? Like, 60, like 61, 62 to like, oh, and I guess he's 69, right? So like late 50s to late 60s, right? This person has fixed faith. This means that this person, his faith requires absolute commitment. Um, he probably also gets premonitions from, he probably has premonitions, right? He probably has a faith where he has dreams that are dark dreams, right? And he will feel like he just has a knowing. He just knows about that his faith is right or that what he's doing is right, like um but I've noticed this. People who have a Neptune and Scorpio, whatever faith they ascribe to, and they will try to get you to agree with them. And they are pushy, right, with it. Like, I've just noticed this about, because they fear that if you don't believe, if you don't have the same faith they have, then whatever their afterlife is, the good, the bad, that you're going to go to the bad, and they don't want that for you. So, they definitely tend to have more of a binary faith, right? Good versus evil, light versus dark, but to the more extreme, right? They want to control faith. Like that's kind of how it has. Or they will go through a transformative faith. Sometimes you'll have people who transform in their faith, or they allow their faith to transform them. So some might go through like a shedding, but the ones who hold on tightly to their faith, boy, they're intense. All right, now let's talk about this Mars. This Mars in our chart is what gives us desire, what gives us drive, what will we fight for, right? And this person will fight for his beliefs. He will fight for his faith, right? And he might do it impulsively too. So Mars in Sagittarius is valorous, will take risks because Sagittarius is definitely known as a risky sign. And by risky sign, I just mean that when it feels that spark, when it's fire is being blazed, Sagittarius is like the burning embers, right? And so when you have, it can go up or out, right? It can go higher. You can either add fuel, add wood to the flame, and it'll grow back up to a blaze again, or you can let it go out and it will just smolder, 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 smolder out, right? So if fuel gets put on this fire, then it will have fuel. This Mars is going to have a fuel, and I'll show some transits here in a second as to why it will. But This Mars can go up or out, but it is very heavily inspired by its beliefs, right? It when it gets one focus, it will get one focus and then shoot its shot, right? What is my target? It will focus, shoot the shot, right? All right. So this person is extremely charming. This person will do whatever the people approve of for him to do. This person likes music and may try to use charm or wit to charm others, and he will have epiphany. He will think outside of the box, and he is innovative with his beliefs, right? So that, for whatever reason, he is independent of his beliefs. So that kind of gives me a little bit of hope there for this. He is very powerful. He stays in control, right? So Pluto with Sun can also have the maintenance of being in control. It also has the my duty vibes to it, right? I will see it through to the end. That's this Saturn. I don't care how long it takes. I will see it through to the end. Um, he might initiate talks, in fact, too, as a good leader, right, in his mind, because Libra is an initiator sign. So, and he has Mercury here, so he might initiate some sort of communication. All right, now let's look at the transits, because there are some transits coming up for this dude. All right, transiting by will. So what would I do? Um, I would put a Libra sun here to speak with this person, right? I know that a Libra sun is JD Vance is a Libra sun. He's also a Leo rising. So, yeah, he's a Leo rising. So he might be able to talk with this person in a way that they can both understand. And he has a Sagittarius moon. Ah, and so maybe JD Vance might be a good option to talk to this person. I know nothing about JD Vance either, other than his chart, right? He's the same house as his Trump, right? Same Leo rising. Anyway, I'm just saying that they could maybe have some kind of conversation. All right. In the transits currently, we have a moon in Sagittarius. That makes one valorous, right? This moon right here is ruled by Jupiter, who is exalted but retrograde right now in the sign of Cancer. And he's about to go direct like tomorrow or like today. Look at that. He goes direct literally between today and tomorrow. See? So something happens that some kind of solution is happening right now. It goes from being reflective to outward. So now Jupiter's going to have the power to move forward. He's been going backwards, rethinking the steps on the home front, right? Home, Cancer. And now he's going to be going direct. So now he's going to have something to say. All right, they're in mutual reception, so they can help each other out. Moon wants to be in Cancer, Jupiter wants to be in Sagittarius. That's their domiciles where they live. So they're helping each other out. So since that is going, and now Jupiter, okay. So the moon rules Jupiter, Jupiter rules. So there is a sense of valor right now. There is a sense of winning right now. There is a sense of winning for my home, winning for my beliefs, my strong beliefs, right? And this Jupiter is in charge of, well, see, traditionally old timies, right? That Jupiter's in charge of Pisces. New timies, Neptune's in charge of this, right? And Neptune is in Aries, that's Mars ruled, and Mars is here. So we have this sort of bouncing around of Pisces is soft. Is sensitive, and not soft in the way of not a fighter. I know so many Pisces that are fighters, right? That are, they work out, they do like martial arts, right? They do things. They're a soldier for their beliefs, right? Kind of a vibe is usually what it gives. And so Mars is here, and Mars is going to fight for art. Mars is going to fight for beliefs. Mars is going to also be a martyr. This is martyr weather, too, right? This is, I'll go in first, right? This is, hey, there's this dangerous thing that you've got to do. And Pisces is like, to save everyone else, I will go first. I will go. I will do it, right? Ah, it's so noble. Pisces, I have a Venus in Pisces, so I'm a simp for Pisces. But yeah, and the sun is here, right? So you have people who are willing to go into a burning fire, burning house to save other people. And we have Neptune, Saturn, and Venus here. That's good for his. Okay. So Venus to the moon and it's applying here. Saturn. Uh there's a flow to his. So remember that fuel I was talking about, right? So Leo needs fuel and Aries is that fuel. Aries is the initiator of passion, of fire, right? Yeah, Mars, right? And so he's about to get fueled up. His Venus and Moon is getting fueled up by this Neptune. My faith and my structured faith, my duty to my faith, my duty to leadership, right, is calling me in, is looking attractive, Venus right now, right? And so we have a Venus trine, that moon and Venus, she's going to be applying to a Venus trine. So he's going to look really good to his subjects, which means that he's going to be doing something that looks good to them. You don't know what it is until it happens, right? You just know the future, right? If I go days in advance here, I could tell you that. We also have Moon coming up. So if I go back in time to some hours here, let's go hours. So if I go hours here, and what are we? I'm going to go back like 3 hours. 3 hours. I'm going to get that Moon to the Mars here because that was something that was interesting to me. Maybe one. Okay, 1 hour. Here's what we have. All right, okay, so now we have that moon at 22 on this Mars of 22, 22 degrees, right? So going back in time some hours, I want to get it like there. Okay, 21:52, we're applying. Energy is strongest when the planet is applying, heading towards, hasn't made it to the degree yet. So so tomorrow, my time, right, 4:47 a.m., right, is when like around 5 is when this is going to be most strongest. And this could be an impulsive action. Mars makes an impulsive decision. So moon at 22 degrees, it means like the mood, the inner world will be Marsy, right? Let's see what else this is hitting for him. So we've got a square. Okay. And now there's a square to this Pluto. That is certainly explosive action. This person has an explosive. He can be pacified, right? So, like, mutable energy, Sagittarius, Virgo, can go this way or that way, right? What do you want? What does everyone else think, right? And if everyone else is putting pressure on him to retaliate or to do something, he'll probably think about the most diplomatic. He's going to think of a way to do something to retaliate that satiates his people and makes the U.S. feel like they have to be in a defensive position. Because he has Uranus and Libra, that is smart about relationships, right? That is smart about diplomacy. So, and using diplomacy and beliefs and Mercury. So he's very smart about this. So he may retaliate in a way that is, it's giving like a, if you've ever argued with a Libra before, they play devil's advocate. They'll be like, well, you do this, right? Yes, I do this, but you do this, right? So Libra is likely to be like, I'm retaliating in a way that when you reflect on it, you understand that you do yourself, and it makes you look like a bad person as well. I'll describe that. You do it too, right? So, yeah. So it'll be interesting what's happening tomorrow. And he's got Paulus here, which is wise strategy. So he has wise war strategy. He is a strategic war thinker, but valorous will do it for his beliefs, right? But Mars square Pluto in the native, that's a friction that gives power behind that Mars, right? All right. And so, and he's given fuel. He's get for the love, for the luxury, for the money for me and my people, right? Saturn, love of duty, right? War, Aries, war of duty, war, Mars, ruler of Aries is martyr for my, beliefs. So he's getting fuel right now. Oh, and this Pluto, look at this. This Pluto, transiting Pluto, power struggles, is in flow with unexpected and Jupiter. This is not a dumb person. Do you know what I mean? This is a person who pays attention to details, all the details. He might get hung up on details, but, or he'll do a bunch of things first and then focus. Anyway, all right, let's look at this future here. So, something that I want to point out, because he has all this Libra, everything that's going to be going into Aries is going to be opposing this Libra, right? Oh my gosh, look at this. Look at this. All right. I'm going to go into the future. Into the future. And I happen to know that on tax day this year, April 15th, there's a pileup that's going to be happening in Aries. Look at this. Boom, 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 right? Ew, let's go forward an hour and the moon's going to be there, right? Let's go forward some hours. About two. Here we go. Look at this. Moon. And it's going to be a new moon in Aries. That's like the start of war. And Mars. This Mars is in domicile. The Mars is in charge. The Mars is friggin' in charge, baby. Right? Ugh. Mars is in charge of this. So, all of this is opposing all of his Libra. And it's giving fuel to his Leo bits, right? It's giving fuel. It's giving fire. It's giving him inspiration, right? So, and yeah, this Mars is up here. So here's Saturn. Saturn is in flow to that moon. He feels a duty, right? He feels it's structured. He's making a plan right now. Saturn is carried out plans. It's impulsive plans, though. Saturn in the sign of Aries wants to take its time, but it can't. So, and he's also going to be having a Saturn return here. Look at this in what, 2, 3 years from now? Anyway, so this is interesting, right? All this in opposition to his beliefs, his thinking, his Uranus. This is a big day. This is a big time for the states as well. And then there's another thing that's popping off for us right here too. Uh, yeah. Anyway, it's not my favorite thing to look at. And then I know that our Sibley chart this year for the United States has um, Mars conjunct Uranus. Yeah. We're gonna be probably at war with high technology, right? That AI stuff, because it's Mars, Uranus, and Gemini. Let's look at the future for that one. That one is in on birthday. So like, and fifth right here. Okay, cast chart. It's the fifth because the solar return is actually the fifth. We see this right here. Mars, Uranus. Look at this babies. Look at this babies. Right. I want to get it to where Mars is actually conjunct, so it's a little bit before. Look at this, 3, 3. So if you have a 3 degree and immutable sign, okay, mutable sign, if you have 3 degrees, so if you have a 3 degree Sagittarius, if you have a 3 degree Pisces, and if you have a 3 degree Virgo, this is going to be unexpected fighting or unexpected action for you, okay? I do know a 3 degree, I do know some 3 degree people. And it's always hard to give them that information, but it looks like fighting with siblings, okay? Because Gemini is a sign of twins, the sign of siblings, the sign of local community, the sign, and then Uranus is high technology, and Mars is fighting, desire, competition, ambition. So, unexpected competition with siblings, unexpected competition with, and for the US, this is kind of in the 12th house there. So it's like unexpected competition with countries or hidden enemies that we thought was our sibling, that we identify with as a sibling, right? Or is our twin, so it could also give like AI, which is interesting. All right, we got this Saturn, and this Saturn is friggin' opposing that Mercury, right? This Saturn's going to be opposing this from now till then, this Saturn here. So definitely some stuff is going to be going down. He's definitely going to be making some moves. And they are impulsive decisions, right? Saturn is making impulsive. Libra is not deep but shallow. But anyway. All right. So that's, I guess, what I have. I wasn't sure how long this was going to be, and I thought, why don't I just get on and ramble and talk to you about this person, right? So that you can know your enemy, as it were, right? Know them. Uh, the more you can make this person feel like they're a good leader, the more they'll listen to you, hands down. The more gifts you give this person, right? The more they will listen to you. I can also tell you something else. This person may not be um, completely straight. They might have some bi curiosity that they maybe hold tightly to themselves. And I know that is highly offensive, but I can tell you that this person, yeah, is turned on by masculinity. So, putting that out there. All right, there it is. Maybe JD Vance or JD Vance will end up talking to him, right? Because of the Leo, Libra, Sagittarius that he has in his chart. That's where his sun, moon, and rising are. So I bet he ends up talking to him. Anyway, okay, there you go. There it is. I'll put this up. I don't know who needs to see it, but I'm sure my ramblings will help someone somewhere someday to understand and please take notes from. Alrighty. I will see you all later. Bye.